Pablo Neruda asks his readers to be quiet for some time, and he explains what will happen in that special moment when everyone on this earth will be quiet and silent. Those who prepare green wars, war with gas, war with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in shade, doing nothing. According to these lines, the poet Pablo Neruda says that the people who indulge in preparing wars. Now, the word prepare wars refers to the people who indulge in such activities which lead to wars, or the people who indulge in preparation of weapons that are used in the war. Those who prepare green wars. So, again, I explain the word those refer to the people who prepare wars, right? Those who prepare green wars. What kind of wars these people prepare? They prepare war against environment. This refers to environment degradation. War with gas, war with fire refers to nuclear and atomic wars. These are the wars in which mankind can get victory, but this victory will be at the cost of the end of humanity. So, ironically, the people who indulge in such dangerous wars will get victory, but there will be no survivor to celebrate that victory. In this line, the poetic device paradox is used, as there will be victory without survivor. Would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in shade doing nothing. But in that moment, when all activities will be put to an end, the people who prepare war would also put an end to their dark activities, and they would put on clean clothes. Clean clothes here has alliteration in it as well, and clean clothes refers to the situation in which the people who are dangerous for humanity would be putting on clean clothes means they would be putting an end to their dark and dangerous activities. Then they will be like brothers to others, and like brothers, they would be walking with others and doing nothing. Nothing here refers to the stoppage of all the dark and dangerous activities. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. The poet here says that what I have propagated so far in the poem. Students, do you remember what he had so far propagated? He has propagated that we should not move our arms, we should not be speaking in any language. Fishermen should stop hunting whales, and the man gathering salt should also stop his activity. Similarly, people who indulge in wars would be doing nothing. So, here he says, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. He says that what I have propagated by so far is not total inactivity. Here seems to be a paradox in what he is saying, but there is no paradox. Actually, poet is saying that he knows that life is what it is about means he knows that life is about activity only. I want no truck with death means that poet says that he doesn't want any association with death, because according to him total inactivity would mean death, and he has no association with death. No truck with death means no association with death. If we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing. Then he explains what he wants. He wants that we should not be so single minded. Single minded means self centered. Here it refers to selfish activities. About keeping our lives moving. Such selfish activities which we take up just to move our lives or for our selfish motives, and for once could do nothing. And he says that for once we should stop all these activities. Nothing here refers to stoppage of selfish and self centered activities. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. If it would happen, if we would stop all the selfish and self centered activities, perhaps there will be a huge silence in our heart. And this silence of quietness, introspection, would interrupt, would put an end to the sadness that is always there in our heart. Which sadness poet is talking about? He says that though we keep on doing selfish and self-centered activities, there is always a sadness in our heart that we are not understanding ourselves, what we want, and we are always threatening ourselves with that. We know this thing, but we still go on doing destructive activities. So because of this, there is always a sadness in our heart. But in that moment, when we will stop all the selfish and self-centered activities, instead of sadness, there will be silence, quietness, tranquility in our minds, in our hearts. And in that silence, in that tranquility, we will achieve introspection, we will achieve universal brotherhood, peace all around us. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Poet stresses that when there will be tranquility, quietness, and silence in our heart, then we can learn from nature how to be productive. Here, the image of nature or earth is used to show that there can be productivity under apparent stillness. As at the time of spring, the nature at the time of autumn, the nature seems to be dead, but when spring comes, it proves that it was working at that time as well. When the seeds sprout, new flowers bloom, and there are fruits on trees, then nature proves that in autumn also it was working. Similarly, the poet stresses that we should learn from nature how to work. Under apparent stillness, we should be productive, we should be creating life. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I'll go. The poet ends the poem with the opening lines that he appeals to his readers that they should achieve everything that he has discussed in the poem if they will be quiet for some time, for a moment. And he again appeals to his readers to be quiet and he will go. When poet says that he will go, he means that, like a preacher, he has given his sermons, and now this is for the humanity to follow his lessons.